to Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. In this podcast, I bring you insights, experiences, and lessons from real estate investing professionals at all stages of their journey, along with industry experts who provide essential services to you to help you to succeed. Our goal is to empower you with the knowledge and strategies needed to build a personalized real estate investing plan that aligns with your unique goals. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It helps me to continue to share valuable content with you. My name is Debbie Balfour, and I'm a real estate investing professional and a real estate investing success coach. I help IT professionals build true financial security by unlocking 60 to 100K in additional income within 12 months through my personalized investor strategy framework. Real estate investing isn't a one-size-fits-all. Your strategy should be unique as you are. My special guest today is Steve Couper, and Steve is a multifamily real estate investor and a podcast host like myself who helps accredited professionals in aerospace, medicine, and dentistry grow generational wealth through passive real estate investing. With a background in aerospace and over 25 years of leadership experience, Steve brings his skills, his knowledge, and precision, trust, and strategic thinking to every deal that you have with him. He's the founder of the Couper Group, Real Estate Investments, and the host of Steve Couper podcast, where he interviews top real estate investors, financial experts, and real estate investing professionals from across North America. Our topic with Steve today will be on what if your paycheck stops tomorrow? Rethinking financial security beyond career success. Before we get into our topic, though, I want to hand over to Steve to tell us a little bit about his journey in real estate investing. Over to you, Steve.
Oh, thank you so very much. What a great introduction. I think that you caught everything in a far better fashion than I could possibly say it. Debbie, thank you again. Yes, I've been investing in real estate for decades. It's something that I've been doing as an amateur for a very long time. And only in the recent years that I've decided I really need to learn how to do this professionally. I've invested in an education with Keyspire, with the Savvy Investor Group, with Wealth Genius. These are real estate education groups that help you learn things you wouldn't otherwise be aware of. And with the experience from those training sessions and practical experience and interaction with other investors, I've actually managed to develop quite a skill set, quite a knowledge base that I believe is the right footing to be able to move forward with multifamily investments into apartment buildings. And that's where I'm focused now.
Awesome. And Steve, you have your corporate job, right? Along with doing real estate investing.
Yes, well, that's true, right? Like so many of the people in our audience, I'm still working full-time. I'm a director of programs in an aviation firm here in Abbotsford. We've, and I've been doing this with this company now for 25 years. And I got to tell you, I started in coveralls on the hangar floor. I was an apprentice, and now I'm accountable for the execution of a $60 million a year plus contract. It's something where the skills that I've learned and brought to the table in aviation, I believe, are all transferable into real estate as well. Those skills include project management. They include lean thinking. I actually went to Japan on this lean training course to learn about how the Nissan and Toyota plants optimize their construction or their manufacturing process. And the skills I took back from that, we applied into the service industry, into what we're doing in aviation to try and optimize how we function. I believe those skills are all directly relatable into what we're doing here in real estate. We're looking to find ways to optimize buildings. We're looking to find ways to make sure we have SOPs, repeatable processes, how to estimate costs, and how to be able to build schedules on what we're trying to accomplish. All of these all of these relevant skills that I've pulled out of my career in aviation, I think are going to be extremely useful to all of the investors. They'll realize these skills in tenfold with the properties that we're investing in.
I think that's so critical. I love what you said there because a lot of real estate investors just think, I'm just starting in real estate. I don't have any skills. And they forget about all the transferable skills that they have from from their 9 to 5, from their volunteering, from their hobbies, all these things, you can use in real estate investing. It's not something that's just like totally unique.
It's not, they become, as you learn these skills through time, wherever you pick them up, they become second nature to you. You apply them in your day-to-day life. You forget about them to the point where they're just something that helps prop you up. But the truth is that this is what sets you apart from others as you move forward.
Definitely. I'm so jealous that you got to go to Japan because all the lean stuff I did, I learned either through theory, through sitting in workshops in the United States and here in Canada and reading books. But seeing it in action in Japan, that is so cool.
It was a tremendous course. The way this was structured, they actually taught you some theory. It was a 4-week course. They taught you some theory for a few days, and then they took you and placed you in a job site to apply those skills. This was taught locally here in Vancouver, and we would go to local factories or shops and help them optimize their layouts and 5S the program to look at their manufacturing or process their all of their value stream map all of the process and try and find out where they're wasting time and money and how to optimize that. This was a tremendous course, and the trip to Japan just was the cream on top.
And these are definitely things that you can apply in real estate investing. And and it's so important for people right at the beginning as they start to, not think, oh, well, I don't have a business yet. I don't have to think about that. When you start writing those SOPs, those processes right at the beginning, and as you see this didn't work and that didn't work, you start optimizing it right away. It makes it so much easier to do it.
SOPs form the foundation of something that's then repeatable, right?
Exactly.
So if the word Kaizen is implying to continuous improvement or little steps to improve things. But you have to have a process. You have to establish a process, and then when you improve it, you can change that process to see if this is.
Exactly. A lot of people want to jump straight to automation, but you can't automate something that doesn't have a process for it.
Nope. So there should be no Kaizen.
Definitely. Tell me a bit about what you've done, some of the investments you've done so far.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, I've become a member in several different groups. When I first started out, I actually with professional investing, not the fix and flips or the house hacking that I did in the past, but into
Still investing.
okay, well, let's start out. I mean, the first house I was ever able to buy, it was back in the days when I was in the military, and I'd spent 5 years in Germany, and a great posting. I came back broke, and just wanting to now settle in to buy a house. How am I going to do that? I got little to no money, and we weren't happy where we were living. We were in renting married quarters. But I did discover I had $3,000 that is sitting in a Canada savings bond. Now, you got to be pretty old to remember Canada savings bonds. Well, I mean, Debbie, I know you do. But I'd invested in these Canada savings bonds and forgotten about them. And so it turns out I had $3,000 tucked away. I went to a realtor and said, look, I got $3,000 and I'm looking to buy a house. It doesn't need to be in town. It can be wherever, but tell me what you got. And she found a 2-acre farmhouse. It was the old Baptist parsonage in a town of 400 people in the middle of New Brunswick between Fredericton and St. John. And it was a 2-acre farmhouse that had 4 bedrooms up. The insulation was basically air and and I bought it for $27,500.
Wow.
No, it's a few years ago. It's a few years ago, and quite frankly, the interest rate at that time was 12.79%. A number that sticks in my head still to this day. So understanding that, and I was still in the military, I wasn't making much in the way of money, but this house that I bought gave me a lot of freedom and it gave me a lot of opportunity. So at the time, I think it was already a century home. God knows where it is now. So it, I decided while I was living there, that what was it we did? We filled the first paycheck I had. I filled the oil tank so that we could actually put some heat on. And this was probably March time frame. It was freezing cold. Filled the oil tank full of oil, and cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $400, and it was gone in a month. And this is a long time ago. So that $400 what meant a lot to me, and the fact that I was only able to get a month's heat out of it, I realized, okay, that's got to change. So that summer, I actually devoted to firewood, and I got a wood stove, and I put that wood stove in the basement instead of and ducted it into the chimney and disconnected the oil furnace and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then through the next winter, I said, well, that's good, but we're going through a lot of firewood. I wound up going through 10 cords of firewood a year in that house.
Wow.
I wound up changing the ducting of the furnace, so I actually mapped it over top of this wood stove, and I got the blower hooked up to it, so I was actually forcing air from the wood for it was a project. While I was living there, I also changed out the kitchen cupboards. I changed all of the cabinets and refinished them. I didn't gut them out. I just changed the doors and refinished them. That process was something where making new doors was something I wasn't necessarily familiar how to do, but the people across the street were. There's a set of brothers over there that were carpenters. They taught me a lot about what I learned there. I wanted to build a garage, so I wound up talking to the brothers again, and so they said, okay, we'll help you do this, and it costs you money, but you'll do most of the work. Well, that was invaluable, right? So I learned everything from the ground up, running electricity into it, putting a foundation down, getting truckloads of gravel. We built this on site. The trusses they weren't prefab. We made it in situ for the roof, and I was up there through every part of this, right? So what I learned through that experience was huge. We had a barn in the back, and we had horse and chickens and ducks and geese, and so it's a hobby farm, right? Well, they need water. They needed power, and the water wanted to freeze in the winter, so I had
Oh,
to
goodness.
learn how to fix that problem. So a lot of different things that they're all skills you pick up over time. Anyhow, this was an investment. Why? Well, I'd actually put some value into this. I repainted everything on the inside and out, and all of the work I just mentioned, and I sold it for twice what I paid for it. 4 years time, I managed to double my money. I was thinking, okay, well, there's something to real estate that I wasn't actually considering before. I'd paid down my mortgage a little bit, not a lot, 12.79%, but I'd managed to actually put away enough money to be able to step up my game in the next house. And this is what people do. A lot of kids today, a lot of youth, they want to be able to walk in and buy a house. They say they can't afford it. Well, I had to move all the way to New Brunswick to be able to afford it. Trust me, I was born here in Vancouver, and there was no way I was buying a house out here.
Yeah.
But, so times don't change. My last house, I actually tripled my money. So if you consider the opportunity for adding some value and being able to appreciate the returns out of that, there's a lot to this. What I didn't know, well, I hadn't considered things like the Smith maneuver. The ability to actually leverage the equity pay down through a line of credit and be able to, the tax benefits of that. These are things that I had no idea about. I've since learned, right? I didn't consider that I probably should have kept that house and pulled the equity out and bought another house with it, etc. Instead,
Have it and have it rented.
right? All of the houses I've owned over time, there's been 10 houses that between Karen and I, 10 properties that we could still own and be renting out. We didn't consider it that way. And the rental units we've had have been, in the renting out a suite in the basement. That's the sort of thing we've done in the past and still doing. But now working on my investment strategy today, like I said, was is all about apartment buildings. I'm actually looking to add more doors under one roof and be able to have those streams of income, or more streams of income under one roof. That reduces your risk, right?
Mhm.
So applying once again project management methodology, we're looking for ways to identify and manage the risks that exist with your investments. Well, more doors under one roof is one of them
One of
for
them.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I love what you said, Steve, and I think this is important for aspiring real estate investors, young real estate investors, those that think that I can't, I either have to have an investment property or my home,
Yeah.
and they're juggling. Do I go for my home or think, well, your home can be an investment property if you're willing to make some sacrifices.
And that is something where I highly recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
The opportunities to actually improve your wealth and is
Yeah, you've got you have your something that's yours that you're not paying towards somebody else's mortgage. Yeah, you've got all these other expenses, but then if you're able to house hack, buy a more distressed fixer upper, and you have patience to live in it and improve it, you don't have any capital gains taxes, and then you're able to generate income and equity from that, be able to then do other investing like you did.
and be able to actually carry more than one at a time. That would be huge. That'd be lovely.
But you can have your cake and eat it too.
You can.
You just have to be strategic in how you do it.
So other things I've done is actually private equity deals. I've got some RRSPs that I've invested in these deals. They're longer term, but they offer good returns as long as they're not pre-sale condos in Vancouver, right?
Or Toronto.
Or Toronto. I've done private lending in the past. It's worked out very well for me, but I've also seen a lot of reasons for caution since, right? Where there's a lot of folks that have experienced uh, I've experienced the downside of private lending, right, and unsecured debt.
Yeah,
There's a lot to learn in this.
definitely. It is not a like fly by night, overnight success. So you're not going to expect that you're going to get into real estate investing and be rich in the first few years. First few years are actually your hardest years.
They are. It's not difficult. This isn't rocket science, but there are a lot of things to learn. There are a lot of things that ideally you learn before you step through the gate, and therefore don't repeat the mistakes. And I consider where I am in life, I don't want to make any large mistakes anymore. I've made enough in the past. And quite frankly, where I'm sitting in my career, I think this can talk to maybe a lot of folks. I'm working hard. I've been putting a lot of time into a career that pays me reasonably well. But one of the things that I haven't been able to do is actually build up that reserve in a fashion that's going to be adequate to manage my longevity. I mean, I think this is the biggest risk to everybody's retirement is a long life. And yet it's something we all want, right? We
Yep.
all want to actually live long and healthy, right? Live long and prosper. And I think that everybody's got personal circumstances. Don't get me wrong. I've had a few financial setbacks in my personal life. I'm a third time lucky husband. This is not something that I'm unique with. Many of the investors that I'm meeting are coming from a similar situation, right? They've had to start over several times in my case. So to do that, you recognize, okay, well, I can get back to a point of comfort right now, but I can't get back to the point where I'm able to retire in a reasonable time. I've got friends that retired at age 50. Well, that's in the rearview mirror here, guys. So what I want to do is fast track or build a reasonable path to wealth that's going to be paying me on a monthly, quarterly basis. I'm going to be seeing returns that are actually going to sustain me without me having to put in the hours that I'm doing now to work for it. So many of the investors I talk to, I get an example that, people don't want to retire, but they just don't want to need their job anymore, right? One of my investor group is a husband and wife team of doctors. They're brilliant. They're successful. They're pulling in multiple six-figure out salaries, right? But their schedule's like 70-hour weeks. You know, they're always on call, even on vacation, so they don't feel like they're getting vacations when they step away. Their high income looks amazing on paper, but it really doesn't buy them any freedom, does it?
No.
So when your paycheck is tied to your output, you're still on the treadmill. There's no way to get off it, right? And the treadmill doesn't stop until you do. And so that's where stacking passive cash flowing deals comes in, right? That's where it actually helps you step off of that treadmill. And let's be real, one deal is not going to buy your freedom, but you can start replacing that active income with a passive income, and that's what I'm looking to do. That's what I'm offering my investors, the ability to be able to start building a passive income that helps get them off that treadmill and allows them the time freedom and the wealth that comes with this sustains them in the future, and their generational wealth comes with it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We
As you say that, that right away I start picturing in that, like for your passive income, like, oh, you say, okay, this particular investment, what is it going to cover of my expenses? So this one is, you have enough cash flow that I'm covering my car payments, and this one is doing this and this. So you start small, you start with those things, and then once you cover those, then you can start thinking about the vacations and
I mean, like I say, I don't earn a bad salary right now. It could be much better. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I would be happy if it increased exponentially, but the likelihood of that is not high.
and the
And
taxation
and the
that comes with
taxation that
that.
comes with it, right? So when you're investing in real estate and building wealth, you're not, you can defer taxes here. You can
The
have serious
write-off
tax.
stuff.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of write-offs that can come with this. You can find yourself in a position where you're building a trust if you want for your children, etc. There's a lot of ways that you can build wealth that's going to sustain you in the future, and that's what I'm actually trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your talk question spoke so loudly to me as, what if that paycheck stopped tomorrow?
Yeah,
Well, that happened to me in 2023.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you do, right?
Yeah.
How long are you able to tread water, right?
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
That's the key, right? I mean, I've got registered funds that I haven't been able to touch. Their employer matched kind of contributions, and because I'm still employed, I can't access them. So, but they're not going to be enough to sustain me. They're not going to be enough to provide a reasonable lifestyle. They're going to be enough to maybe pay my property taxes, help buy some groceries, but not there won't be any vacations anymore.
And so many of us envision retirement as something that's more granular, more like being able to travel the world because now we have time and do these
Well,
things. But if
well,
you
this,
don't have the money
yeah,
to to survive.
I think of travel as it's one of the necessities slash luxuries in life. You need to open your mind and be able to see and experience different cultures, and I have done a lot of that. Have. I haven't been able to consider any of these lavish vacations for a long time. You know, at some point, I want the ability to be able to pick up and say, I want to go somewhere. And my wife and I, we pick up and go, and we spend as long as we want, and we don't worry about how we're going to pay for it.
Yes.
Right? And that somewhere could be in Canada or across the ocean. I'm happy.
And I think you're not unique with that.
Yeah,
That's a lot of people's, dreams. That's what they hope for when they retire.
that's
That
it.
that
Yeah.
financial freedom doesn't mean rich. It just means that, you don't have to be like super wealthy, but it's that freedom to not look at the price, not worry about the price, not worry about the time, just
You,
go where you want.
well, that's it. And if you've got investments that are continually working for you, you're putting your money to work. It's working day and night. it is always churning cash. So you're going to be receiving paychecks while you're laying on the beach in Spain. You're not going to be needing to put your hours in 70 hours a week like the doctors there. You're going to be in a position where you're able to see those paychecks hit the bank every quarter on clockwork, right? That's my dream, where I want to be.
Yeah. So, um, when I looked at some of these questions we have that I wanted to ask you, and I think we've really covered why then busy professionals, why they struggle to build wealth. That's what we were talking about. Their paycheck is not enough. You know, the registered funds are not enough, and they're not building enough. And when it comes to stocks, I know mine will go up, and then just as I'm really excited, it's looking good, it goes back down, right?
And that's it, right? Every morning I dial in and see what's happening with my mutual, and it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And while it does seem to grow a little bit, it doesn't grow a lot, right?
And it only takes one market change to
Well,
then
and
lose it.
and it takes one government change to all of a sudden put at risk everything you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
So being able to map that out and have some security, well, there's one class that's been continuously growing for as long as we've measured it, and that is multifamily real estate. It's secure. It's always on a steady path up. Not necessarily leaps and bounds. It's not Bitcoin banana kind of growth kind of things. It is a steady growth
Consistent.
kind of portfolio, something that's a hard asset you can actually go visit, touch, and unlike once again Bitcoin. And I'm not knocking Bitcoin through experience. I haven't invested in it because I don't know it and I don't necessarily trust it, so therefore I'm avoiding it, right? But I don't know how many people are in the same boat as me. I just know that what I'm looking for is something dependable. I can't afford to make big mistakes
Yes.
again.
And when it comes to multifamily, there will always be people needing to rent. Like that is the biggest market.
Well, this
Right?
is it. The demand will always be there. As a matter of fact, I mean, we're becoming a renter's economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So more and more people are turning into, I mean, more and more people don't want to own a home. It's not necessarily because they can't.
Yes.
They don't want to. They would rather rent. And I get it. My dogs drive me nuts, by the way. That's what's going on here. They just choose to say, you know what, I don't want to be tied down. I don't want to have this responsibility. I'm happy to rent and pay you good money to live here in this good location in this good home, as long as you maintain it and
You take care of
don't
it.
and look after me. I'll look after you. And I mean, some people rent because they have to. Don't get me wrong, but because there are more and more people renting and less people buying homes these days. That's just the reality of the economy we're living in.
And I think also flexibility. I think since COVID, people started to rethink their
Absolutely.
lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something that's happened in the generations, as each generation changes, you see different kind of priorities in life. What I where I grew up needing to be, I value getting the job done.
Hmm.
You go to work, you try to actually get it done. I've got a bunch of people that work with me that the bell goes and away they are. Right? This will wait till tomorrow. It's not that important. What is important is being home, being able to go and spend quality time with my family. I'm so disappointed that I grew up in the generation I did.
With hard work.
But everybody's got their different priorities. And every culture, every generation, everybody comes into a different place. But now we're seeing more and more of those people are needing to find rental housing. So
Yes.
I'm uh, I'm happy to be in a position where we're providing it, right? A rental housing provider, I think, does a service for all Canadians. I choose to invest in Canada, by the way. I know there's a lot of great opportunities south of the border in different countries, but I am actually moved by the idea that I can be a rental housing provider.
Yeah, I think yes, definitely. And then when there's also the market for seniors. So with like we were just talking about our our retirement income isn't enough to sustain what the lifestyle we want. So many people are having to sell their home, take the equity in their home, and they're living off of that equity. And in
Yeah.
order to live off that equity, they need to rent instead.
I know. I just saw an ad today for reverse mortgage. It scares me, the idea that people are doing this because well, everybody does what they need to do. But I think that the idea that at the end of the day, I'm able to pass a legacy down to my son. He's got some assets that I bought for this family that he's able to be able to change ownership and manage and build wealth as well. Well, that to me is important, and I don't want to actually spend that on him.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that reverse mortgage where what's left for him is nothing.
Is debt, and it's not good debt, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. We learn about that through the inspired works of Robert Kiyosaki and Good Dad, Poor Dad, right? I mean, truly, that's one of the most pivotal bit of literature in the real estate investing world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody I know has actually grown so much from his writings. But understanding that you can leverage debt to your advantage, well, that's what potential investors need to understand.
Mhm.
They're able to take that equity that they built and been proud to pay down the mortgage or whatever, but they're missing the opportunity to invest it and grow that back. That's something we need to do.
That reverse mortgage isn't bad if you're using it again for investing and you pay it back.
It depends on the interest rates, right?
Yes.
Are you doing
It is slightly higher than a regular mortgage rate.
Yeah. But I mean, the Smith maneuvers uh, essentially, I guess, similar, but you're able to actually have something where you're paying down your principal and at the same time building up a line of credit that you can use as an investment tool and therefore defer your taxes and be able to actually really accelerate the pay down of your mortgage. That's a cool tool. Whereas the reverse mortgage is increasing the amount of your mortgage.
So, Steve, you went from, well, not from because you're still in aerospace, but you're moving into apartments. What's the mindset shift that you had to go through?
Yeah, this is good actually. Mindset is something, it's a buzzword. It's everywhere. But it comes down to what you really set your mind to, doesn't it? Right? And so with that, I decided, like I mentioned a few years back, that I wanted to learn how to invest in real estate professionally. It's something that happened, I think, as I dabbled with it so much, but made so many costly mistakes in the approach that I was taking. I decided, okay, I want to learn how to do this properly. But I also recognize it's not going to be an instant win. So I've actually had to switch my brain such that I'm focused on time blocking in my day. I actually manage first thing in the morning, waking up, and what do I do before work? What do I do after work? Because I'm bookending real estate before and after.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be analyzing deals. I'll be making offers. I'll be interviewing podcast guests before and after work, right? Communicating with investors, communicating with potential clients, and being able to actually schedule in time for them before and after my day job. I'm tired when my day's over, as most of us are. We get to the point of physical or mental exhaustion and you want to actually stop. But the reality is, if I wake up in the morning and I don't pick up that bit of literature and start studying, if I don't get on that call with the investor, if I don't analyze those properties, if nothing happens, nothing's going to happen. If I don't do this, I never.
No one's gonna come and knock at your door with a bag of money and go, here you go, Steve.
No, no. And I'll be working till I'm 85. So if I'm not able to put the time in and seriously block out that time and do it, I won't get there. And so I set my mind to that.
I think that's critical. A lot of people, I've been doing some like interviewing people from market research to tweak my program or to make sure that my program is still viable. And that is one of the things they struggle with. They're not, I ask, why aren't you moving forward? And it's because they're not setting up their days. I don't have time. Well, we all have the same amount of time. So it's actually, carving out that time, putting it into your schedule and saying, this is important, I need to get it done.
And I've applied it to, the structure of my day and blocked out time in the calendar for each of the elements to this. And, it starts with exercise. Actually, it starts with a bit of reflection and planning. Make sure the day is planned out. Make sure that I got some silence to meditate and think my way through the day. Make sure I get some exercise, which is critical. When we're young, we take exercise almost for granted. We play sports, we've got lots of energy. As you age, you actually need to do this more.
Because your muscles aren't generating anymore.
There's a lot of physical reasons why we need to exercise more, but it also helps sharpen my mind. And that allows for that devotion to the real estate. When I dig into that period of time, that time block, I'm able to focus and get some things done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. So tell me, you mentioned your podcast. So what's some of the lessons that you've learned from it?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've mentioned a few. I interviewed Robinson Smith. And so learning about the Smith maneuver, I think that is something that everybody needs to study. We all need to be thinking about how we can actually switch to readvanceable mortgages and how we can find a way to invest and be able to lower our taxes on this income as a result. There is so much to that. That's one of the keys. Talking to mindset coaches and what do they call it? LNP. NLP,
Yeah,
right?
programming.
Yeah, neurolinguistic. I mean, this business about mindset, we all have things that are blocking us or holding us back or dragging us down, and being able to actually conquer those things in a psychological way. The science behind this is really fascinating. So I've interviewed a few different guests. Billy Adme is one of them, and Julia Zoger's another, that come from this world that are it's just fascinating what they're able to accomplish. How this has changed their lives and how this can change yours. I mean, it's amazing. I lost my voice. That's not good for me. I've interviewed several real estate coaches, and understanding their approach to being able to help their students achieve their goals is really interesting. The first thing that a coach needs to do is to start talking about what it is that you want to achieve. And then the hardest thing that coach has to do is not do it for them or not tell them what to do. You need to actually help them in their decision-making process, ask themselves, is this going to help you achieve your goal? Or is this just a squirrel that's taking you off from the left and right field? Right? Being able to help them understand that focus and that mindset that they need to be able to achieve it. I think that's really something that I've learned recently. And then in real estate investing, there's some people that have and other investing strategies. There's some people that have done some amazing things. I interviewed Victoria Clooney, and she's actually taken the experience that she had in investing in real estate and switched gears slightly so that she's now investing in hotels and learning what she's taking what she's learned as an investor and a real estate investor and applying that then into business and moving that upscale. She's a tremendous powerhouse of a businesswoman. She really is. I've also learned about social media and all of the nuances and tricks and tips and challenges with social media and being able to actually take and invest time into communicating with those that want to hear you and understanding the power and importance of it. Anyhow, I think with the podcast, I've had a chance to now record 52 sessions, and I've so much as not just an investor, but as a person through all of these interactions and getting to know these people and learn some bit about their lives and what they do, and getting a chance to meet them in person wherever possible, and be able to actually, it lifts my game so much to know these people and know the challenges they faced and the successes they have had or the lessons they've learned. So much benefit can be gained just spending 30 minutes listening to them talk. It's just huge.
Excellent. And it's so great that this value that you're able to learn from these people, but you're able to share that with others through the podcast. Does he have any advice? His advice is take a break every now and then. So before we wrap up, Steve, we were talking about real estate investing. We're talking about all these things, but what's your why? It's a lifestyle, definitely. I love that. Well, Steve, do you have a free giveaway? We'll put that into the show notes for everyone. We'll pop it on the screen, and we'll also put it into the captions of how they can get that from you, and also how to contact you. And if anyone is interested in being a guest on both Steve and my podcast, please reach out to us. It's a great opportunity for you to share your story with others so that they can learn, but also it helps you build credibility, that know, like, and trust you need to get out there. Thank you so much for your time, Steve. I really appreciate it. My pleasure. And a reminder, if you enjoy this podcast, please hit that like button and subscribe so you can be notified when the next one comes out.